Good evening, and welcome to Friday Night Ghost Stories. I am so happy that you have taken the time to view this, whether it's live or whether it's a record, or whether it's a replay, that is. Feel honored that you were willing to do that. So let me start by saying welcome, and let me get started with our usual intro. And then we'll get right into The Curse of Dudleytown, Connecticut. All right. Let's get rid of that. And let's turn on the camera. Thank you, each and every one of you. Let me just say hello to the folks in the chat before we get to a very interesting story, which I have Gianni Catalano to thank for it. He is the inspiration for tonight's story because he brought this up. He actually visited this place, so it should be interesting to hear his take on this. But let me just say hello. Hello, Maureen. Hello, Arlene. I'm sorry. Hello, Arm Distance. Good to see you. Kelly in the house. Gianni is here. Excellent. Just Chillin' from the West Coast is here. Let me see who else is here. Tommy Stiggs was here before. Godfather Sports is in the house. Thank you so much for joining. Baywatcher, always here. Good to see you, my friend. Gerard from upstate New York is here as usual. Who else? Anyone else that I missed? I don't want to miss anyone because I want to thank you. Paul C. Excellent. Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. Maureen is here. Maureen commented earlier. So welcome, Maureen. Thank you for joining. All right. Excellent. Thank you, my loyal listeners, loyal watchers, ghost enthusiasts, whatever you want to call yourselves. But let's do our usual lighting of the candles so we can get the right atmosphere before we get into this bizarre story. Shut that off. There we go. Had a little bit late start today, getting things in order. Wanted to make sure I had all my research done and I was ready to go. All right, let's see what's going on with these candles. Are we good? I think we are. All right. Gianni, what are you saying here? Yes, my friends and I were where teenagers went down there a couple of years in a row. Spooky place, definitely haunted. Looking forward. All right, cool. Excellent. All right. So, Dudleytown, Connecticut. What's this all about? Well, it's called by some to be the most haunted ghost town, meaning no one's lived there, that type of ghost town. But this is a ghost town because it's haunted also, but it's probably referred to quite often as the most haunted ghost town in America. And why is that? Well, we're going to find out. So, where is it located? It's located in Connecticut, I believe near the New York State border. And some of the areas, it's really part of a bigger town. It's really part of Cornwall, Connecticut, which is the real town. Dudleytown is just a village or a part of that area that was ultimately Cornwall Township or Cornwall Town in Connecticut. And the local river there is the Housatonic River. And Dudleytown itself is nestled between three mountains. One is the Bald Mountain, the other is the Woodbury Mountain, and the third is the Coldsfort Mountain. So you have three mountains surrounding this area in this little valley type of area, which is heavily wooded, and which, because of that, received the name Dark Entry. That's what it's been called for 200 years, Dark Entry, the Dark Entry Forest. And it didn't have anything to do with ghosts at the time. What it had to do with was the lack of light because of the shade from the mountain ranges. So makes sense, right? Makes sense why we would call Dark Entry. And there's even a road that goes through it now that's called Dark Entry Road, I guess, in remembrance of what the forest itself was called. But for the most part, this area, the Dudleytown area, is kind of unchanged for many, many decades, a couple hundred years, because it starts off in 1747, I believe. But the area in question, the Cornwall Township itself, was founded in 1737. And then it was 1747, around that time, or 1745, something like that, where Dudleytown is established as a little settlement, a little farming settlement. And it's said that this town is cursed, that there's a curse hanging over it. And this curse, what it does is cause death, madness, and generally bad, unfortunate things to anyone associated with it who lives in it. Now, what's the origin of this curse? The curse in question goes back to the 16th century with King Henry VIII. And it's said that Edmund Dudley had plotted against him to overthrow him as King of England, and his plot failed and he was beheaded. Now, being true to form, many years later, his son, John Dudley, did a similar thing and tried to install his sons by the name of what was his son? Guilford Dudley's tried to install his daughter as Queen of England, who was, you may hear this name or recognize this name, Jane something or other. I didn't write it down. Jane Eyre? Is that what it is? Jane Eyre? But anyway, if you ever hear the term Queen for a Day, that's what it comes from. In British history, there was this revolt where this woman was installed as queen, and it didn't last very long, and it turned out to be called Queen for the Day. And the Dudleys were behind it. So that coup failed, and he was beheaded, and so was his son and the woman that would be queen. So you have 3 people, 3 generations that were beheaded of the Dudleys, and it's said because of their treason that the family was cursed. Their treason against the crown, it was cursed. And when a Dudley came to America and settled in this area, he brought the curse with him, and that it spread across this area here to this particular landmass and began to affect anyone else, not just Dudleys, but anyone who lived in this area. So it's a very interesting background to this, because William Dudley is the individual that comes to America. William Dudley comes in 160. No, he was born in 1608. He comes in 1639. He comes in with the Puritan wave. After the Pilgrims, he comes in with them. And begins a settlement and looks for a settlement. And he lands in Cornwall Township, and then he ends up with his sons, the sons are all born here, founding Dudleytown itself, which is a subsection of Cornwall Township. And his sons were Gideon, Abiel, and Barzilia, which is an interesting name for a son, and even an English son, Barzilia. Anyway, so they go into this area which was owned by Thomas Griffiths, and they somehow get it named after their family, Dudleytown. Let me stop for a second and say hello to people. Hello, Cinnamon Girl. Great to see you. Hello, Emmanuel. Great to see you. Gina, thank you for coming by. Appreciate it. So So that's what's going on. So we're at 1745 now. The Dudleys have settled there and have kind of named the area after themselves. Now, the area was not a good area for farming, yet people tried to start farming there. Remember, it's a valley, and it's a small valley though. It's a rocky valley because it's in a mountain range, and it has a lot of stony, rocky soil. So a lot of crops would fail there, wouldn't be successful. The only thing that ended up being successful was growing flax. And that seems to be what they did there. They grew flax while there were farms there. So let's hear about how the curse affects people. So one of the first settlers there was an individual by the name, in Dudleytown, in addition to the Dudleys, was an individual by the name of Jeremy Plum. Now, Jeremy Plum lives there, tries to start a farm. Now, one day in 1753, he simply wanders off into the woods. Inexplainably, he wanders off into the woods, and no one hears from him for days. After a few days, people ride by his farm, his house, see that he hasn't been there, and they start to send out search parties. They search for days and never find a trace for him. It has never been solved what happened to him. He just completely vanished into Dark Entry Woods. Gone. Bye-bye. History. Nobody knows what happened to this poor guy. No remains, nothing. History, nothing. Contributed the first thing to the curse? Could be, right? This could be the first thing. All right, the second thing that happens, several years later, around 1756, and I remember this was the French and Indian War time period also. So you had battles in New York, and this was I would say in about 100 miles from a battle. There was a battle within 100 miles of Dudleytown. So that's going on too. So you have a lot of Native American Indian tribes and French and British clashing all about upstate New York. So that's going on too. But in 1756, there was a family that lived, also one of the founders, one of the first settlers by the name of Shamford. They lived on the outskirts of town of Dudleytown, also trying to farm. One day it becomes very quiet, and they don't hear from no one of their neighbors hear anything from them. So they go to the farmstead to seek them out, and they find that it's deserted. And not only do they find that it's deserted, but they find the tables set with food on it, and coffee poured, and water poured, as if The beds were all made. Food on the actual table that was a few days old, but food that was left on the table as if it wasn't eaten, but set places with food on it, but not a trace of a struggle, not a trace of anything that could lead someone to understand or at least deduce what happened to these poor people. But it turns out that the whole Shamford family vanishes, completely gone. So that's two vanishings you get out of Dudleytown that no one can explain. No one can find them. And to this day, no one knows where they are or what happened to them, what their fate was. So that brings us to 1774. Things are quiet for a while. 1774 rolls around just before the pandemic, just before the Revolutionary War begins, and a mysterious pandemic hits Dudleytown, and nobody can identify what it is. It's not smallpox, it's not typhoid, it's not yellow fever, it's none of the common diseases that would turn into a pandemic. Nobody knows what it is. But it turns out that this mystery pandemic hits Dudleytown, and it kills off the entire Adderman and Carter family. It was a combined family. Kills the entire family, wipes them out. They all die of this mysterious disease. And as a result of that, one of their neighbors, who is also a Carter, he was related to them, is so distraught with his family having died off that he decides to move to Birmingham, New York, Binghamton, New York, Binghamton, New York, and go on the frontier, so to speak. And because Dudleytown had a bad taste in his mouth, he begins to believe that this is a bad town, this is a bad area, a bad cursed ground. We shouldn't be here. So he moves his family to New York. Now, unfortunately for him, what happens is around 1764, a tribe of Mohawk Indians attack his homestead, tomahawk him, his wife, and his infant daughter. They take hostage two other teenage daughters, and a son, and they take them hostage, and they take them north, and they trade them to the Huron in Canada. So they're held for ransom by the Huron in Canada. Well, eventually, the girls are a ransom is paid for the girls. The girls are returned, but the boy, who by the I forgot what his name is. His name is Carter. I know that, but I don't know what happens to him. But he actually joins the tribe. He joins the Huron tribe, marries an Indian girl, and then eventually, years later, escapes, returns to the United States, and becomes educated, self-educated, and actually gets appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court when he's in his later years. But just a horrible story of the Carter family. Nathaniel Carter, wiped out by Indians. And it's said or believed that it's the curse of Dudley that traveled with him. Once it's with you, it's with you. You're doomed. All right, so let's go to 1792. In 1792, there's a mysterious death in Dudleytown. And the person that dies is by the name of Gershon Hollister. Now, there's two theories. One theory is that he fell and was killed from the barn rafters, fell from the barn and was killed. Because his body is found and it's bludgeoned tremendously. The other theory is that he was murdered. He was murdered by his neighbor, who was a man by the name of William Tanner. So what ends up happening is William Tanner is seized by a posse or a group of people and brought to trial in whatever the closest town is, because again, this is just Dudley. This is just a little village, little settlement type of area, and brought to a city to be tried. Well, he gets acquitted because there wasn't enough evidence, and he returns to Dudleytown. Now, he may have gotten acquitted by the law. However, he's not acquitted from the curse of Dudleytown, because what happens is he begins to lose his mind little by little, and actually gets to the point where he's stark raving mad. And the townspeople that lived near him said that he would talk to wild animals and think that he could communicate with wild animals. And in fact, said that the dark entry woods were filled with demons who were haunting him. And it was a demon that actually possessed him that caused him to kill Hollister. So bizarre type of thing that happens, this rabbit madness that takes over him, makes him a murderer, and then and then drives him into utter madness where he dies from it, ultimately losing his mind. So that was 1792. Now, also Tanner's neighbor, who was an actual Dudley. Tanner's neighbor was Abiel Dudley. He ends up losing all of his money, his possessions, everything. Loses everything in gambling. Loses every single thing he has gambling, and also ends up turning into a madman. Runs off into the woods and ends up being captured by locals because he was insane and put into an insane asylum to try to control him. So one of the Dudleys himself there, who lived next to Tanner where the murder took place, went total batshit. Right? All right. So that's not too long after. That's around 1800. Now let's go to 1804. Now, the most famous resident of Dudleytown was a person by the name of General Herman Swift. Now, he was a general from the Revolutionary War, so he was famous for the time. People knew him. And he had a home there, had a nice home there. And after the war, he returned to live there with his wife. Now, his wife, unfortunately, passes away. Dies of the flu. Several years later, he marries again. Goes to New York, meets a woman, brings her back, marries her. She ends up dying, this time from tuberculosis. General Swift is not going to sit back idle, so he goes again to New York and marries a third wife. And his third wife is the name of Sarah Fay. Now, all is well. He's going to live out his golden years with Sarah Fay. It's 1804, and he's out on his porch enjoying the evening air with Sarah, his wife, when suddenly, out of nowhere, out of a clear night, a lightning bolt comes down, strikes Sarah in front of him, and kills her right there before him. So Sarah is basically obliterated by this lightning strike in front of his very eyes. So wife number 3 passes on. And as a result, this experience of seeing his wife killed like that by this bolt of lightning also sent him into a madness that ended up making him being declared senile and having to be put into an institution. So you have a lot of madness going on here. What is going on? So much people turning insane, normal people. This guy was a successful general in the Revolutionary War, ends up being a nutcase at the end. All right, let's go forward to 1872. In 1872, Horace Greeley was running against Ulysses S. Grant for the presidency of the United States. He was the Democrat, and Grant was the Republican. Well, 1 week before, now it just so happens that Horace ended up being a resident of Dudleytown, and a week before the election, he is out campaigning. He's getting ready. He's getting ready for the big day. He's traveling the country. A week before the election, he gets word by telegraph that his poor wife, Mary Cheney, hangs herself in their home in Dudleytown, Connecticut. Never had a history of mental illness, never had any issues of any type. Out of the blue, ends up hanging herself a week before the election, which some people say helped Grant win because he stopped campaigning, whatever. So poor Horace Greeley loses his wife because to Dudleytown. Now let's go to the 1890s. In the 1890s, there's a sheep herder that decided to take up residence there, wooling the sheep, get wool from the sheep and all that stuff, whatever you call it, shearing the sheep, etc. It's 1890 there, early 1890s, and his name is John Patrick Brophy. He's an Irish immigrant, and he has a wife, and he has several children. Well, in 1893, his wife suddenly dies of tuberculosis. Unexplained where it came from. Just gets it and ends up dying. Well, he's distraught from this, obviously, doesn't know what to do with it, is in such horrible state from this that he ends up just going into a deep depression where he just sits there and expects, doesn't want to do anything. The sheep run rampant. His kids try to deal with the sheep. And in the course of that, one by one, his children begin to disappear. Each day they go out with the sheep. One goes out with the sheep to tend to the flock and never returns. So all three of Joseph Patrick Brophy's sons vanish without a trace into the dark entry woods. Inexplainable. Totally inexplainable. All right. Let's go into the 20th century. 1924. The last bastion of Dudleytown. The last time anyone lived in Dudleytown. 1924. Like I said, right now it's considered a ghost town. No one lives there. It's private property. Excuse me. No one's allowed in there. People try to trespass there, and they could get into trouble if they do because it's private property. No one wants to be there. Wants them there. Dr. William Clark, 1924. He buys 1,000 acres in this area, and it encompasses Dudleytown. So he builds a summer residence for him and his wife there. Well, he goes to New York to deal with business one summer. His wife is left there to enjoy the country. He comes back and he finds his wife hanged herself in his residency. Now, she didn't die. She hanged herself, but she didn't die. But as a result of that, she had such damage to her brain, such damage that she ended up being declared completely incompetent, completely out of her mind, because couldn't function as a result of that. Now, again, nothing indicated any mental illness, nothing unusual going on. Just out of the blue, this woman decides to try to take her life, and as a result becomes an invalid. So those are the step-by-step bad luck, curse type of things that happened over this 200 years, almost 200 years. And since Mr. Clark, or Dr. Clark, since that, Clark sold it off, and it's now owned by a few different people, but no one lives there, and there's nothing but ruins there. And I have a couple of pictures I wanted to show you guys. And, they're not very good. I tried to find some good pictures, but there weren't many. So let me see what I could show you. Hopefully it'll give you a glimpse at what Dudleytown looks like. Hold on here. Let me see. Here we go. See, it looks kind of calm and peaceful, but it says village closed to the public. This is the sign you get at the gate if you were to approach there. So it's closed off to the public. But it looks like a pretty nice country area, right? This entry area, to the village, to where the village was. I should say there's no village now. Now let's see here. Share my screen here a little bit. Let's see. Here we go. Here is. That doesn't help really. But anyway, this is just a picture of a ruin, part of the ruins that are in the woods. And as you could see, the forest, the dark entry forest, has kind of claimed it, kind of reclaimed it now and made it even more eerie and disturbing to look at, overgrown that way. And I think I had one more picture. I don't know if let's say, here we go. Let's see. This guy in this picture is actually a paranormal investigator who went there, and he's just sitting on some of the ruins that are left in the woods there. So it's just a very, very creepy place. And the irony is that, yeah, peaceful part of it, everyone that's gone there has said that the peaceful part of this is the initial impression. But as you stay there, a sense of dread seems to come over you, and people that experienced different things, dread or an overwhelming sadness, a desire to get out of there, or a compulsion to get out as quickly as you can to get away from it, a heaviness where a feeling like the trees themselves are closing in on you. These are all feelings that people have described when visiting the area. There's also accounts of people saying that when they enter the area, they lose hours. In other words, they'll go into the area, wander around, say it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They'll wander around where they think they're going on a hike for about an hour. And then when they finally emerge back to their vehicles or to their place of entry, they find out it's 5 hours later. And it's inexplainable. How could that be? I only feel like I've been here an hour, but it was 5 hours I've been gone. So there's missing time that some individuals experience when they're in the area. Now, is the place haunted currently is really the question. Now, people have claimed that they have seen orbs, and there's pictures of orbs taken in the area. And I don't know if you've heard this, but orbs, I'm sure you have. Orbs are considered what is captured of a ghost or spirit on film. And people have seen these orbs on film shots they've taken in the area. There's also reports of shadow people where you'll be walking along and suddenly you'll see the image of a person, but it's all black out of the side of your eyes or to the side of your eyes. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot about my friend here. My friend Lenny is here. Say hello, Lenny. Come on, Lenny. You're not even in the picture. There he is. There's Lenny. How you doing, buddy? Put that down. Sit up like a gentleman. There you go. Well, whatever. We'll take what we can get. Yeah, so orbs, shadowy silhouettes that dart in and out behind trees. Kind of creepy. And I don't know if anyone's ever been in that situation where you think your mind is playing tricks on you and you see things darting in and from the side to the left to the right. I won't like that at all. I don't like that. I have been there in that type of situation, and I don't like what it feels like. Some claim to see apparitions of those that have left this world who had lived in Dudleytown, meaning those that either committed suicide or those that died from the pandemic, the mysterious pandemic. Hollister's ghost himself, the murder victim. All these things are possible scenarios of what people are experiencing when they enter Dudleytown. But they say that if you go there during the summer, before any of these things will happen, like I said, you start off with saying how peaceful and nice this looks. It's beautiful. It's country. It's relaxed. But they'll suddenly hear no sound whatsoever. No birds chirping, no frogs, no squirrels, nothing. Complete silence in the woods. And at that point, they feel like they're being watched. And then it's tipped off with a cold chill of air in the hottest days of summer. They'll still experience this cold chill of air that will encompass them. So, what's going on with this particular area of land, this particular forest, this particular settlement, former settlement? Who knows? Is it the curse that Dudley's brought with them, or is it something to do with the fact that this area was said to be a Mohawk burial ground and a spiritual area? So could that have something to do with this? Could this be the spirits of the Native Americans that are not too happy with their lands being disturbed? So when someone goes over there, they might manifest. Who knows? These are all just theories, but the fact remains is that there have been countless stories about people's personal experiences once they enter the village. And like I said, or the village area, and like I said, this is someplace that should not be gone to because it's trespassing if you go there. And they don't want to be bothered. The people that own it prosecute people that go there. So Gianni said that he went there as a kid. Hopefully he didn't get caught, or because he probably would have gotten some type of summons or something. But that's this is that they're very serious about people trespassing. They don't want ghost hunters there either. They don't want anybody like that there. They're not interested in that. So, and they're in the paranormal investigators that have been there have a theory that this might be just a particular area where the veil between this world and the next is very thin and weird things happen. Who knows? These are just theories of those who are into the paranormal and care like that. But I can tell you that over 200 years of bad things happening the way they did to those that lived there is quite disturbing to me. It's, it's really, it really chills the spine to think about all these things happening to people that live in a certain area. So that's the story. That's the story of Dudleytown, Connecticut, the most haunted ghost town, because it's a ghost town, or the most cursed ghost town in America right now. Okay, so Gianni's saying that there's someone else here built a home off Dudleytown that had some sort of bad shit happen to them. Okay, I don't know, Johnny. I didn't find anything about the 1970s, but very well may be. And I just, who knows? I didn't get it. I couldn't find it. And Johnny, the cemetery, is the cemetery in Dudleytown itself, or is it in the outskirts of it? Baywatcher wants to know why security be so high. I have no idea. I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, I don't know if there's actual security there or anything like that. All I know is that people say that if they catch you there, if the police or whomever catch you there, they will prosecute you. That's all I know. I don't know if there's actual security, wandering around. Tony the Night Owl, how are you? Good to see you. Edwin Jimenez, good to see you. William from Brooklyn, good to see you. I don't think I said hello to you. Baywatch, hills that have eyes. Oh yeah, like some type of inbred type of thing. Inbred cannibals or what have you. I don't know. Yeah, I mean that's could be, those areas. Who knows? When a place is like so empty like that for so long, who the heck knows? Well, thank you, Bobo. I appreciate that. So I don't know what else was going on in the chat here. So your brother's friends got caught. Okay. See that I miss anyone? I don't want to miss anyone. I definitely do not want to miss anyone. Arm distance. I don't know if I said hello to you. Thank you for joining. All right. So Johnny, you said you had two people follow you out that disappeared. They followed us all the way almost to the car. We saw them from a distance, but couldn't make anything out. Just thought they were hikers. Ooh, interesting. Wow. Yeah, so pretty creepy stuff. I don't recommend anybody going there. Oh, hi Wyatt Earp. I don't think I said hello to you. Thank you for stopping by. Really appreciate it. Bobo is here. I know I was talking directly to Bobo, so he knows I know he's here. But thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Michael, hello, Michael. I don't know if I missed anyone. I think Todd Father. I saw Todd Father was here before. So a bunch of creepy stuff happening in Connecticut. Wrong Turn series 1-9 movies. Wrong Turns. Oh yeah. I think I saw that. I think I saw one of them at least. One of those movies. Foundations and stone walls. Right. Right. Yeah, that's what the pictures are. The pictures are just stone or just foundations, nothing more. Oh, military. I never saw that. Hills of Eyes. I never saw that movie. No offense to mutants. We won't want to offend any mutants. Right, right, Ed. When you don't disturb them, you're right. I would never disturb them. William says Lenny is his twin. You're that skinny. I think Thenu's more of a twin of Lenny. Gerard says that area is in shadow. Some folks up here live on the shadow side of the mountain. It's cold. Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, that's what the dark entry woods uh, has the shade of three mountains. So obviously it's dark and it will be cold. Hey, Gerard Cicelli, thank you for joining. Appreciate it. Yeah, Gerard, there's no story to the White Lady. I told this to Stiggs. There's no story to it. It's boring. It's just boring. Oh, this woman, the woman was going to get married or something, or was on a prom and then crashed. Okay. I mean, there's no story to it. I looked into it. I really looked to see if there was some like of backstory or some deeper story to the general thing, the word of mouth thing. But there's nothing to it. So I just said, whatever. I wish there was more. I mean, if there's more to that story, tell me definitely. But I don't think there's anything much more to that story. Um, Bringingham, yes, yes. So Manuel says, whenever I pass by Bringhampton, I pass by that city. I love mountains that surround. Oh yes, yeah, yeah, yep. Yeah, there isn't one, Gina. As far as I know, there isn't one. Um, there's the crash. She crashed in the park, and that tree, and that specific tree, which you're supposed to see her. or her spirit is supposed to try to draw other cars into that tree. That tree's gone. It's not even there anymore. But that's all I could ever find about that story, is that she was like, I don't know if it was a wedding, if she was a bride. I think she was a bride, supposedly. And it was in the car and it crashed and she died there. And she's been trying to draw people to crash much like she did. I mean, that's it, really. I don't know of any other information, like whether it's grounded in any type of facts or whether I couldn't find anything. I searched and searched, couldn't find anything at all. And we all knew that story just from living in Belleville. It was just a story from the park, and you'd drive through the park, and then you'd see the white lady tree, because and the tree was like discolored a bit, or there was like no bark on it. So it, when you flashed your lights on it at night, it kind of looked like a figure, like a white figure was on it. And I think that's where it came from. But I couldn't find anything other than that. So Gerard, the Baseball Hall of Fame is close to you. Is that what you're saying? So you're near Cooperstown? I was at Cooperstown as a kid. I went there. Great, great. It was a great time. I enjoyed it a lot as a kid. Yeah, Gina, I think that's the only story that I know of. Yeah, it's in Cooperstown. Are you near Cooperstown, Gerard? I don't know where you are. Oh, it's far away. Okay. All right, got it. Mike F. Hello, Mike F. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hope you survived. Well, obviously you did. And I'm thankful. We're all thankful you survived that crazy tornado stuff that was happening near you. Crazy stuff. Crazy, crazy weather stuff. Weather patterns. We have earthquakes here now, so we're getting crazy stuff too. Oh, Gerard, you're up on Lake Champlain. Okay, Champlain. Okay, got it. Got it. Yeah, so that was my story for tonight. I already have a thumbnail up for next week, which is kind of cool. And it's a haunted city, a haunted town in Calabria, Italy. So we're going to Italy next week to talk about this ghost town in Italy. That should be pretty cool. Baywatch Cabin Fever is the one with the disease, or like the right, like the disease in the water, or the fungus in the water, or whatever the heck it is. Um, Flesh eating bacteria in the water. I think that's cabin fever. Yeah, Gianni, it's spooky. I know you Sicilians are scared of Calabria, especially Calabrian ghosts. They're scary. Gerard, that sounds like my area, man. It sounds like I'd like to be there where you live, because I enjoy that. I enjoy the cold areas, and I enjoy the less people areas. But I would miss farms. I don't know if there's probably no farm. Are there farms near you? Probably. I don't know if there's not much. If it's so cold, I don't know if there's a lot of farmland. So Bobo says, look at Untermeyer Park and Gardens. Untermeyer Park. Let me write that down. I'll put it on the list. Thank you. Yonkers. Yonkers. All right. We'll go Yonkers. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome, Gene. I appreciate it. Rocky, yeah, rocky soil. Yep. Yeah, I mean that's the thing that I like to where I live is the farms. That's what I really like. I live on a mountain. It's nothing. It's not a mountain like you're used to, Gerard. It's kind of small, but it's a mountain for New Jersey, and it's called Schooley's Mountain. And there's horse farms, and then there's regular farms too. So it's and my garden grows pretty well. So the soil is pretty designed pretty well designed to grow crops. Even though it could be mountainous. My old house, it was really hard. It was really hard because it was really rocky. The soil had so many rocks, it would grow rocks. We would say that they'd grow rocks out of the soil because they would just pop up. There'd be so much rocks in it. Oh, that's the cemetery. I remember seeing the cemetery, Gerard, in your video, your telescope videos. So that's filled with veterans of 1812. Wow, awesome. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, Gerard, if there are any local ghost stories that you know of, let me know because I find those the most interesting. The local word of mouth stories that everyone doesn't know, to me, are interesting. Who needs, the stories that everybody knows? So who cares? They're cool. They can be cool, but I want to delve into the local folklore, the areas that people don't know about. That's what interests me. So if you find anything, by all means, send me an email, send me a text, whatever. Let me know. I'll definitely delve deeper into it. Oh, thank you, Edwin. Yeah, these candles. One is my raven, my candle holder, raven. And the other one is my Scrooge candle holder here with the lighter, just like Scrooge had. Love this thing. Love this thing. All brass. I don't know how old it is. I got it at a estate sale, so it's pretty old. It's an antique. You got it cheap because of the graveyard, Jordan. I find graveyards very peaceful. I really do. I don't find them scary or disturbing. I find them very peaceful. Because after all, they're hollow ground usually, and the souls are at rest there. So I feel I actually like cemeteries. I wouldn't mind living next to one. The Enfield Poltergeist. Enfield. Enfield. All right, excellent. I take all ideas, all suggestions. Gianni, you said in Bergen County? There's no hick areas in Bergen County. Bergen County is all suburban, really. I mean, maybe I'm just trying to think. Maybe Franklin Township. I mean, most of it is all urban or suburban Bergen. Mawa, maybe Mawa, but it's possible, certainly. I would probably think, Johnny, I probably would think it's in the area of last week's story, which was Clinton Road, which is West Milford, which is big hick area, a big you know, and that's actually Passaic County, but a lot of times it's confused with Bergen County. Yeah, it could be there too. Who knows? But it's definitely North Jersey, and it could be there. And you said there were dog fights. That's awful. That's stupid. I hate that. Alexandria arm distance is that's Sussex County. Mawa, yeah, Gerard, Mawa is it's right near the New York border. Mawa, upstate New York border from New Jersey. Well, upstate, it's not upstate compared to you, but it's upstate compared to the city, I guess. So let me see something here. So Gerard, what do you tell them when people ask you about what it's like to live next to the cemetery? What's the answer you give them? Ho hocus? I really wouldn't consider that. I wouldn't consider that rural. Um, I don't know. I don't think I've ever been there, Ho hocus, but I don't think it's rural. My libation is almost done here. Bubba, what's very dead? I don't understand. You live in Hunterdon County by Alexandria. Well, there must be an Alexandria in Sussex because I know there's one there in Sussex, which doesn't surprise me because there's a Washington Township in Bergen County. There's a Washington Township in Warren County. There's a Washington Township in Gloucester County. And there's a Washington Township in Morris County. The Shermans argue with each other from their graves. That's funny. What's your friend behind you? Lenny? You know that, Todd Father. You know Lenny. Come on. You know Lenny. Lenny, Todd Father says he doesn't know who you are. He asked who you were. It's very dead bubble living next to a tower. Yeah, I'm sure it is. Exactly. Todd Father knows arm distance. Todd Father knows he's busting. He knows Lenny. Oh boy, Johnny. Uh-oh. Neighbor looking for a fight. Not good. He wanted to put a fence 12 feet onto your property. That is crazy. 12 feet. That's nuts. How can you even argue that? 12 feet. That's not up for debate. 12 feet. Chipmunks. You know what, Johnny? You need a few foxes. I don't see any chipmunks anymore. The foxes take care of them. Believe me, there's none left. Tony, yeah, no, I was saying, it wouldn't bother me at all. I like cemeteries. I would like that it's so quiet, actually. Yeah, cinnamon. Yeah, the chipmunks could do havoc on your garden, though. I get what Gianni's battling there, but the biggest enemy of a garden is the groundhog. That's the worst. Groundhogs are the worst. Horrible, horrible, destructive creatures. If you have a garden, right? But if not, who cares, right? George says charge him $7,000. Johnny, $7,000. He called you a grease ball, Johnny. Well, that's Boston. That's the Massachusetts people for you. You know how it is there. You know how it goes. Hey, Spirit. Good to see you. Thank you, Maureen. Appreciate that compliment. Hey, thank you guys for hanging out. 19, 20 people in the chat is great. Thank you so much for hanging out and just chatting. Now that the story is well over, I do appreciate that. You know what, Johnny? You know what you could do? You can get a video of him and post it online. That's what everybody does these days. He's from Missouri. What the hell is he doing in Massachusetts? He has these annoying beagles. They bark 24/7. Yeah. Beagles, you need to be able to control them. If you don't control them, they're going to bark. They're going to bark constantly. They have to be the noisiest dogs. They're little but they're loud. Little loud dogs, and they're always barking. If you don't pay close attention to them, they're going to bark and bark and bark and bark. It's crazy. So I'm just saying Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn. Yes, and I mean I do a lot of research because as much as we worship the internet, you think they say Google something and you get the answer. It's not always the case. You Google something, you get what the advertisers want you to see. So it takes a lot of time to actually get to the meat of the matter and find some facts and then use the different sites to fact check, you know. You know what, Johnny? You know what we need to do? We need to get Mr. Latona to visit your neighbor. He'll like take care of that neighbor real quick. Mr. Latona will handle that Missourian. What county, Gerard? I'm in Morris County. Morris. Cinnamon Girl, yes. That bark, I'll tell you, 3 doors down from me. I haven't heard the thing lately, but there was a time when they first got him. Holy cannoli would that dog bark, and you can hear him. And I don't live on, I live distance away from people. Like these are 3-acre lots. So I'm not on top of my neighbors. And boy, would that little dog's voice will echo through the neighborhood. Oh my God. Latona would probably out on him, short out on him just as quick as me. He got one of those faces you just want to step on, and a voice like Steve Urkel. Oh boy, white Steve Urkel with a huge gut. Yeah, he needs to stay away from the Bud Light. I think that guy. Stay away from it. Tell him to stay away from the Bud Light. Bud Light. George Washington, Edwin. I'm not dressing like George Washington. I do have the hat though. I do have the colonial tri-corner hat. I do have that. Yeah, I'll give you credit, Gianni. I don't know how. I mean, that's tough having a neighbor like that. That's not good. Not good at all. I don't have the white wig though. That's why I can't do George Washington. I don't have the powdered wig. I need to get that before I could do George. Todd Father, I don't have the wig. I don't have a wig. I need a powdered wig. All I have is the hat. Can't do it with just the hat. I don't know, guys, if TT is going on. If she is she going on? I haven't seen a thumbnail. Let me see. Let me see here. Let's see. I don't see it. Well, I mean, a lot of times I don't get things in my feed, which I know Johnny has that problem too. But I don't see a thumbnail, so maybe she's not going live tonight. Let's see. But Sliminy is. If you guys want to go there next, because I'm going to wrap this up soon. But Sliminy's going to be on next if you want to go there. But I don't see a TT. I don't see a TT thumbnail. So, okay, here it is. She says, well, "Hi everyone. I will not be home in time to do the Friday night show." Okay, she's going to do it tomorrow. All right, that's cool. So tomorrow, if you guys are around, check out TT. Look for TT show. Her Friday night show will take place on Saturday, so that's cool. Very good. Emmanuel, I have one neighbor, because the other neighbor, the house on one side of me is vacant, and it's been vacant since the pandemic. There was a guy there, an old guy that lived there, and he went to Arizona. He never came back. The house has been vacant for 4 years now. And the other side, I do have a neighbor, but that's it. In the back of me is woods. Back of me is public land. It's woods. It's a wooded area that backs up to a park, like a baseball field and a lacrosse and soccer field. So I don't have many neighbors, thankfully. I just don't. I don't want that. I never wanted to have a lot of neighbors. I mean, I had it in my old house. I had plenty of neighbors, but I'd rather be by myself. I like being by myself, and I like the open land and space between houses. So I don't have a lot of. I have one neighbor, really. Basically, I would have two, but the guy never came back. All right, Johnny. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yeah, yeah, Gerard. Me and you both. I'm going to be going to sleep too. But anyway, thank you everyone for joining me. I hope you enjoyed tonight's story. Tune in next week. Press the like button if you can, because that's helpful. My last show got 285 views, which is pretty darn cool for me. The Clinton Road show got 285. The one before that, which was what? I forgot which one that was. But anyway, that one got 300. That was Cape May. And I'm going to do a second one on Cape May because there's more stories with Cape May. So I'll do a second one on Cape May. But next week, we're going to do this haunted town in Italy. Maybe the week after, we'll go back to Cape May and do more on that. And thank you for the suggestions. I'm going to look into these and see what I can dig up for future telecasts. And until then, I want to say God bless. Love you all. Wish you the very best. Have a wonderful week. And we'll blow out our ceremonial candles to end the show. Remember, stay scared. Wait, that's one. Wait a minute. What's going on? That is two. Good night, everyone.